Our next speaker, and our last speaker, but not least, a good friend, colleague, neighbor, a couple blocks away from me,
Lock the doors because people want to jump out.
Howard Bookbinder, and it looks like he's got a pile of stuff. He's going to talk on a lot of different issues today. He's got DOMA, he's got same-sex couples, civil couples, penalties, some circular 230 stuff. So a hodgepodge of stuff from Howard as usual.
Good afternoon. We've had no tax law, so there's nothing really new. We've had a very inactive Congress, but we've had a very active IRS. I hope everybody has seen my apology that I received from Washington yesterday, asking forgiveness of the hotline being an hour and 15-minute wait. And they turn around and they said, well, we have budget cuts, staff quitting, staff leaving, retirements, and all these minor little problems. And we had sequesters and all the other problems. So the three words are Internal Revenue Service. Okay? Service is missing. Okay? Electronic filing, October 22nd, we'll have Robert Peace here from the Fairfield office of the Internal Revenue Service, and he is supposed to be an expert in electronic filing, so we could talk about the 114 form and any other forms that have to be filed electronically, except if you use the CERT. How many people have seen the 1099K notices? Yeah, they send out a notice from the IRS telling you that it's just it's called a hot flash notice, just to let you know. Somebody, if they can make up their mind who's going to be the commissioner. All right. What the notice says is, we noticed that you did not fill in the 1099K line, which we didn't have to. Okay, we put a 0, right? All right. But the thing is, we have your charge sales as 990,000, and you have sales showing on line 1 of 993,000, which means you took in $3,000 cash, and the rest. If you want to amend your return, this is the time to do it. In case that you had any other cash sales that you forgot to neglected to tell anybody about. This is without tax law. This is what I mean. How many people printed out my outline? I'm going to try and go through it. There's a lot of stuff, and let me just. I don't want to miss anything because it's all important. Because I get the phone calls, I get the open forum. All right, now, number 1, notice 2013-59, which deals with the American Tax ATRA, which was passed a little bit late, like January 2nd of 2013 for 2012. If you have any clients that took Section 179, but they didn't do, if they were a restaurant where you had the 15-year rule, go back and look at that rule and see if 179 would benefit your client. You have to go really into ATRA and see. This just came out. Form 5500, how many people file a 5500? All right, that's going to have to be done electronically in the future. Okay? How about, and here's how many people have got a call, ever got a call from a client saying, we have a letter from the IRS that says lock-in. It's called a lock-in letter. Okay? Well, unbeknownst to anybody, what the IRS is doing, they changed the rule with the W-4. If you had more than 10 dependents, you used to have to send in the W-4 to the Internal Revenue Service. Well, the person that they used to receive it got fired, so they have a problem with that. So what they do now is, if your client's employee files a return and the W-2 is read by the Internal Revenue Service. Example, the employee made $36,000 and has $128 in withholding. How many people have seen that, and then you get blamed for why they have to pay tax, right? All right? I mean, you get a claim with $100,000 and it shows $2,000 of withholding tax. Okay, and you say, you know, you got to get up a little bit more than 2%. All right? Well, the IRS is redefining that now, and if your client's employee has a large balance April 15th, your client will get a letter, it's called a lock-in letter, telling them and ordering them to change the employee's withholding to more reasonably enable the employee to pay little or no tax on April 15th. So it's called a lock-in letter, and it's issued by the service due to the fact that they have Windows, was it 95 computers? So it takes a little while for that letter to come out. We have another situation here which are 538 individuals. They just came back from vacation. I don't want you to disturb them. But we have some expiring provisions. The teacher's out-of-pocket cost of $250 to qualified residents, indebtedness under Section 108, mortgage insurance premium deduction, $500 energy credit, conservation contributions, state and local sales tax, tuition and fees deduction, qualified charitable distributions for those over 70 and a half, Section 179 limits, Section 168 bonus depreciation, S corporation built-in gain provisions. Does any of this sound familiar to any of your clients? They all expire December 31st, 2013, unless the 538 individuals come back to reality and stop stepping on each other's toes. Now, as usual, I have my words of caution. Circular 230, has anybody read it lately? Well, I think you should start. How many people heard of something called conflict of interest? Okay, well, you're going to hear more about conflict of interest because they just arrested a IRS manager who had a side practice, and they convicted her, of having a side practice, which they say was a conflict of interest because they're not allowed to have a side practice. All right, Affordable Care Act. I had answered somebody on the web. I was incorrect, and I sent out the correction of my statement. I can be wrong. I was just trying to get some September 15 C Corps out. I had nothing else to do. And you know, let me tell you something, okay? And I speak for everybody here, I think. I never get extensions. I'm practicing 50 years, and I never got extensions. This year I had to get 7 extensions, okay? And the thing I hate about extensions, after April 15th, the client goes numb, dumb, and out. What information do you need? You didn't tell me. No, I sent you 5 letters. Okay? Yeah, I know, you were busy, you were on vacation, you were taking your boat out. Okay? All of a sudden, Tuesday, last week, I think I found the information for you to file a return. Okay? That's why I don't like extensions. But the Affordable Care Act, I think every insurance company is sending out the letters to the employers. All the payroll companies are sending it out. It doesn't apply to every employer. But I always like to work with a word of caution. It says $500,000 in interstate commerce. It's going to probably change somewhere along the line. We don't know yet. October 1st is still not here. We've got 2 weeks. But this is a 7,200-page law. How many people read it from beginning to end like the woman on H&R Block?
I thought she was supposed to speak.
No, she said it was 900 pages. I counted 7,200. Okay? But this is it's a very confusing law. We got an extension on the employer mandate, but we didn't get an extension on the individual mandate, which is what we're worried about right now. I would have, even if you have a client that's not over $500,000 in sales and not involved in interstate commerce, you better get them moving to do something about health care insurance. By the way, I think somebody called me up and told me that the exchanges were less than some of the policies that we have here in the state of New Jersey. But Aetna pulled out. So, and their stock went down 15 points, but that's okay. Now, how many people have DOMA issues? D-O-M-A, okay? You've got to be very careful as a practitioner. You've got states that don't follow the same federal rule. In addition to that, you have to do a return both ways, okay, to protect your professional license. You've got to do it both ways, individual, married. Okay? You've got to be very, very careful. You also have to explain to the client, should you file a joint return, they become joint and severally liable for the tax therein.
DOMA is not optional.
Excuse me?
DOMA is not optional. You're making it sound like...
If you're going to go back and amend returns,
Oh, amended return.
I'm talking about amended returns. I'm not talking about going forward.
Right.
But I'm telling you, you have to ask the client these questions and inform them that joint several liability can be had. Yes?
I have a question. New Jersey is still the unit. It's not act.
Right.
So DOMA's not apply to civil unit in New Jersey.
I have,
That's correct.
just let me get to it, okay? I have some piece here. All of these they're in my outline, okay, where I talk about who are married under state law and civil unions. There's a whole section in my outline. I don't want to, I wish I could devote the time to it, but we'd have to stay here, and everybody I know wants to get back on the Garden State Parkway. Okay. They opened up a Pandora's box. The gentleman who spoke on the states, okay, you don't know how big this box is that was opened up by the Supreme Court. And that second section, which they still haven't really focused on, okay, can lead to, it's a lot of work for us, but you have to know what the law is and be very, very careful, tread lightly, okay? There's 24 states that are involved with the amended returns, and they're all different. You know, you cross the border, you go here, you went to New York, you got married there, you flew over to Las Vegas, you lost some money, you came back. Okay, where were you married? Okay, where were you legally married? Where do you reside? Okay, a lot of questions. There's more questions than there are answers.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay, now,
Howard? So if a couple is legally married in a domestic couple here, is married in New York, but they live in New Jersey, right, and they're married, where do they file, do they file a joint return in New Jersey?
Wait, can you repeat
I
the
don't know.
question?
I got, you know something, I printed out the New York law. I didn't print out the Jersey
It's
law.
under litigation right now. That's the whether the New Jersey will recognize.
Okay, New York has put on their website, the Marriage Equality Act, same-sex married couples. They've got about 10 pages dealing with the domestic issue. One of the things that I want to make sure that I get across is comfort letters okay, which is a thing that I'm very adamant about. And we put on the website a bunch of printouts dealing with comfort letters, because they're coming from more sources than we ever had before. The other thing I want to bring up is Section 7216. And that deals also with comfort letters. 7216, under tax practice responsibilities, which is issued by the AICPA, and in the tax advisor of August, the August issue, they deal with current tax disclosures under Section 7216. My suggestion would be that you get a copy of that article and don't be in a hurry to answer comfort letters. Okay? According to the article, they're coming from Fannie Mae, the government, and Ginnie Mae, among others, and Horizon Blue Cross, and a few other people. And these requests technically are beyond the scope of income tax preparation. So before you go and run to give the client this comfort letter, check with your insurance carrier and check our online publications and also the tax advisor. By the way, under the tax advisor, they called it the new chocolate, and I have this article published at the NJCPA website. Conflict of interest. What's interesting is, again, the tax advisor of November 11, 2011, deals with the differences between our state board, and we're going to have another a new article coming out shortly from the Professional Conduct Committee. But in tax practice, the AICPA is different from state board, which is different from Circular 230. Okay? There's some minor differences. And conflict of interest is a legal term. It's not an accounting term. But now it is being applied more towards accountants as opposed to lawyers. Okay? You've got to be really step back and say, am I representing objectively the proper client? And if you're doing it, you get a letter in writing. No more verbal. Verbal is out. Okay? You have to practice defensively. How many people think that there's somebody behind them helping them and will be there to aid them in the time of crisis? Nobody. Thank you. I'm glad to see that, because that's the facts of life. Okay? There's nobody behind us. Your car mechanic has more rights than you do. And you've got to remember that. Now, independent contractors. When a state or a federal government needs money, they make issues. The state has 3 rules. What are the rules for the state? A, B, C. How many people are familiar with the ABC test? I should have seen all the hands up, right, Steve? The C test is the one you will not pass. I can almost 99% guarantee you will not pass the C test. The problem comes in because of this economy. People are being let go from jobs. They are opening up in their homes as independent contractors. But they have to follow certain rules to be an independent contractor. They've got to go out and let the people in the public know that they are an XYZ type independent contractor. They have to print up cards, billheads, even get a separate phone number. Now, there is some flexibility, but not a lot, because everybody's walking around with a cell. Well, I mean, I saw a fellow the other day at the airport. He had 4 cell phones. On his belt, 4 cell phones. And I asked, this is for business, this is my own business, this is my wife's, and this is my kids in college, so they can call me and always get through. I don't know, I wouldn't want to pay a cell phone bill, except they have their family thing, I think. But seriously, the misclassification, there's a leniency program that's going on right now. So if your client has not been reporting a person properly, this is the time to advise them and make restitution, we'll call it, and get the client to understand that just because a person says, I'm an independent contractor, doesn't make them an independent contractor. First thing that the state wants is, let me see a separate workman's comp policy. And people say, I need that? Yes, you do need that. By the way, I ran into an interesting question from a CPA. He says his client just got a letter from the state of New Jersey, Department of Labor, saying, we did a cross-match and your client does not have workman's comp insurance. How many people go and register their client for the annual report? And there's a question, does your client have workman's compensation, right?
Yeah.
All right? It's very closely watched. So whatever it costs, you've got to have a workman's comp policy. Independent contractors is their area of attack at the present time. By the way, there will be a North Jersey Working Together conference at Seton Hall, January 7th, 2014. The one in June for South Jersey was canceled due to the fact that it's very hard to get people from the IRS to come and work together with us on the conference. Just to add a little complication this year, when we go to do our 2013 returns, and again, the Journal of Accountancy, the latest issue, I think, is talking about the reporting requirements for securities. How many people had problems with the 1099-Bs? Okay, well, I want to tell you it's going to get worse. Okay, it's not going to get better. But the IRS, right now, they're working with changing their electronic systems, as is the state of New Jersey, which we found out when there was a lot of confusion as to e-filing of corporation business tax returns for the 2012 year. The state has gone to a more sophisticated computer system, except somebody forgot to put the plug in. But the feds have to upgrade their system. Unfortunately, our beloved Congress has not given them the money to do so. So these are some of the complications. As soon as I get an email or a call from the Internal Revenue Service, I put it on the web to keep you all informed. I can tell you, I mean, this is a lot of paper, but it has to do with DOMA, it has to do with ACA and the Obamacare. You must, as a practitioner, you must go to the website of the IRS. They are publishing as quickly as they can changes to the law. The state of New Jersey is trying to keep up with their website, state of New York as well. There is so much current information coming out. This is without putting it into a book and saying, this is the Tax Act of 2013. We're not going to see a Tax Act between now and the end of the year. I can almost guarantee that. I don't like to guarantee too much in America, but I can almost guarantee you will not see a Tax Act. They've got so much keeping them busy The last thing in the world. I mean, remember the reformers, we're gonna have a new tax law, we're gonna change things. They can't change anything, it's so embedded.
They can barely keep the government open.
Huh?
They can barely stay open right
No, they're taking another recess. Come on, will you please? Okay? They can take recess, we can't. Okay? We got another deadline coming up, October 15th. Now call your clients today and tell them get themselves in. All right? This is the problem with extensions. What I'm going to tell you, that the IRS from January to April will be working on sending out letters. We're going to see more letters than we have ever seen because they're doing everything electronic. There are going to be letters on W-2s. There are going to be letters on 1099-K. There's going to be letters on digital client. How many people answer the question on all the forms now? Are you responsible for sending in 1099? And then the second question is, did you?
Yes.
Be very, very careful how you answer those questions. You could be hit with preparer penalties. Your client answers the question, not you. And if you don't know, if the client doesn't show you a copy of the 1096, they didn't issue a 1099. I'm sorry to tell you that you have a due diligence responsibility to find out, because that question is on the return. Now, Drake answers it one way, CCH answers it another way. They assume no. Drake says yes. Okay? Be very, very careful. The life you protect is yours. Okay? I'll be around for a few minutes for questions. Like I said, there is so much this is all without tax law. This is all from without tax law. But you've got to protect yourself and practice defensively. There is nobody going to stand behind you. Be careful with the comfort letters and be careful with asking clients questions. You have to ask about the bottom of the 1040, Schedule B, all right? Even though they only have $500 of interest income, where you don't have to file the B, you got to ask that question, because on the bottom, first of all, it starts with a $5,000 fine, okay? If you don't answer the questions properly. You've got to ask the client the question. It's got to be in your organizer. It's got to be everywhere. You can't just let the preparation software answer it for you. Okay? Practice defensively, and we'll see you in October. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Good as usual. A lot of stuff like he went through today. No new tax law, but a lot of things out there. So.